My name is Nico Knaepen, and I'm going to explain you about the awareness that is not yet there with all the companies regarding data and exploiting data to developers and other resources. So my name is Nico Knaepen. I have been a developer since 1998, Drupal since 2008. I'm a senior developer at Logic in Motion. We also do consultancy and our own projects. And for the moment, I'm a technical asset manager at Colruyt Group. You can tweet me at Nico Knaepen. Now, everything that will, every question that you have after this meeting, after this session, can be asked through Twitter, and just use hashtag Scrambling data. Now, do we have something to worry about? Yes, we do. Who do we need to worry about? I'm going to explain you in a short story. I'm going to see if you recognize the problem after the story, and then see how we can avoid all this, and things you need to take in consideration when trying to avoid this, technical solutions, some demo about some technical solutions. I'm going to give you a slide with some resources where also this presentation is based on, and there will be some Q&A. Now, do we have something to worry about? Yes, we have. Out of experience, I know that a developer regularly gets a copy of the database without it being scrambled. So, do we have something to worry about? We don't have to worry, of course, about stuff that is already publicly available, like blogs, news, tweets, public Facebook messages, etc. But we do need to worry about data that is supposed to be private. We are talking about users, clients and prospects, emails, addresses, etc. Users, there we are talking about just exploiting the username of persons where people are not already, they're not thinking about is the username the same as my name. So there you need to think about when you're having data that possibly can have some relevant data that can be related to a person. For clients and prospects, when you are a company which is having a lot of data regarding gathering new clients or just main client information, this is also something that you do not want to get exposed to the world. Also for emails, you try to crawl every email as possible just to have some information to send newsletters to. This is also something you don't want that other companies get as easy as possible. And also like addresses, etc. Now, who do we need to worry about? Of course, criminals. They always have bad intentions. Your next door neighbor. I don't know whose neighbor, what the intentions are of your neighbor. I know my neighbor doesn't have bad intentions, but your family, also your friends and children. Yeah, okay. This image is not showing good. I know this last image is something that especially fathers can recognize. Your children working on your laptop. Pretty dangerous. Now, I'm going to explain you through a story. There once was a company called Springfield Incorporated. His task was to develop recording software and record security videos about Springfield. One senior developer worked there named Homer Simpson, very obvious. He had a full copy of the recordings on its local machine. Now, here's the problem. Once Homer, he gets back home, he relaxes, drinks some beer, watches the sports game, He isn't aware about things happening around him. And all of a sudden, Bart pops up. He opens Homer's laptop, and by accident, he uploads a security video on YouTube. Taking into consideration the security video was not scrambled. The uploaded recording contained some sensitive data about Principal Seymour Skimmer having an affair with teacher Edna Krabappel. This video goes viral, and then there's no way back. I hope you see the problem now. Now, let's take a step back. Homer didn't do anything wrong. He just had his work at home. Bart, he wasn't aware about the danger of all it. What Springfield Incorporated could have done was to scramble the recordings so the problems wouldn't have occurred in the first place. Now, how do we avoid all this? Very simple, scramble it. By removing data, it's a possible solution. But then your actual data becomes lost data. You don't have data where you can develop on anymore. Everything's lost. By swapping data, it's by moving a picture of Edna Krabappel on another video and moving Principal Seymour Skinner on another video, it's also some solution, and there's no relevant information anymore. By stripping data, it's what we see at Google Maps, is where your faces are scrambled. It's a solution also. Now, how to avoid all this by removing data? Your actual data becomes lost data. Your records are actually removed from the database. This is 100% safe, but there's no more data available for testing purposes. Before situation, we have, for example, 100 addresses in the database, and after situation is 0 addresses in the database. Second solution, swapping data. Your actual data becomes untraceable. Your records and data is swapped with each other. It's just like putting the data in a blender and mixing up everything. This is not 100% safe, and the reason for that is, for example, emails, usernames, telephones, they are still exposed. They are somewhere else, but they are still exposed. And your data cannot be matched with any other relevant data anymore, of course. A before situation is we have Homer Simpson and Montgomery Burns. After situation is we have Homer Burns and Montgomery Simpson. Stripping data. Your actual data becomes unreadable. This is also not 100% safe. You have master detail relations that are still exposed. An example, if you have a master table with family and you have a detail table with children, you can still expose some statistic values like average children per family. If this is something that is sensitive for your company, do scramble that too. Conclusion, statistical numbers can still be calculated. A before situation is, we have, for example, an email, and after situation is the email is scrambled. What is the solution? To combine all these scrambling methods. Now, what do you need to take into consideration while scrambling? Never scramble, and here we are talking about databases. Never scramble on a production or a live, only on your other environments. So syst, test, local, develop. For continuous integration purposes, when you copy a production database to any other environment, maybe that's the moment to scramble your data then. And also, post-scramble actions are required. For example, if you are going to reset the usernames and the passwords, In that case, it would be recommended to set it to something that you can use, because your data will be scrambled. No one can actually reach the site anymore, because there's no username, there's no password anymore available. So you need to set something in order to get access again. I'm going to show you some technical solutions for that. First thing that pops into your mind when you don't have any tool ready is SQL scripting. Going to a database, just executing some SQL scripts is very easily done. You have maximum flexibility because the database lies there. But there's a danger in corrupting the database, because you are not aware about the application, what it is doing on the database. And a very simple example is to just update users, set mail is some dummy at example.com. There's also Drush. Drush has a minimal out-of-the-box solution, and it scrambles not the usernames, but the passwords and the emails that are linked to a user. So it's a very minimal solution. And it's just by executing Drush SQL sanitize command, it strips the passwords and the emails. It also has a hook, hook Drush SQL sync sanitize. This hook requires execution of queries, SQL queries. There's also, again, as I told you, for SQL scripting, there's a lot of danger in corrupting the database, because the application is not, there's no link with the application. And this also has 100% compatibility with Drupal, but it is a minimal out-of-the-box solution. Now, knowing all this, I was thinking about, okay, let's contribute a module that works on the fields in Drupal. So we know that every content type has fields, and you can add fields, edit fields, whatever. But by focusing on only the fields, we have almost the 100% solution for it. There's this Scrambler module. It's still in sandbox. It's work in progress. And together with Colruyt Group Services, we are going to work on that module to have it ready as soon as possible. The author is me, of course. And it's regarding the configuring scrambling per field. Now, what kind of scrambling are we going to introduce there? It's all the scrambling methods that we have explained here that we are going to introduce there. This one is then 100% compatible with Drupal. And it requires no extra development for Drupal course field API scramble. It's completely compatible. I'm going to show you in a demo. First, I'm going to show you the Drush solution. So you see here, there's an email address. It's a username unscrambled. Now the username is something that is not going to be scrambled by SQL sanitize, but the email address is. I just named it something unscrambled at unscrambled.be. So now I'm executing the SQL sanitize command. I say yes, and it's done. Now, what it does is, it logs off the user and it scrambles the user information. So if I go back here and I refresh, it says access denied. Now, what I need to do is I'm going to Now this is the post action that I'm going to do. I'm going to update the admin password again to something that can be used, because now I don't have a clue of what the password is. So, yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Kevin. Okay, so that's done. Okay, if I log on now for incorrect, I'm going to be blocked.
Try brush Uli, actually.
Yeah. I'm just going to copy it here. Yeah. Still again, thanks. If we go back to the person which we were scrambling, going to take a look at it. So you see your users, your email address is now user+2 at localhost. What it does is it just adds user plus the ID at localhost. That's what it does. And it scrambles the password. So we have created a user, we have executed the command, we have shown that the users are automatically logged off. The post scramble action which we needed to execute, and then we log on, and then we verify that the user information is scrambled. So you saw this by this email. Another solution is the Scrambler module, of course. This presentation is also going to be available on the session profile page. This is still the sandbox module. It's in Drupal 7. It's a bit too sad that we did not yet started in Drupal 8, but I'm aware of a lot of sites at this moment are in Drupal 7. So the need for this module in Drupal 7 is also there. It's about configuring general settings and fields. I'm going to explain you how to do it. And I have some content, again, of the Simpson characters to show you. So you see here, this is a view of some persons which I have added, and they're all the correct names. Now, the scrambling only happens for the moment through Drush. So I've created a scramble Drush command. That's done. Now, if you go and take a look, now keep in mind it's still some work in progress. And I noticed that not all names are already scrambled, so we're working on that also. So now you still see, for example, Marge and Homer Simpson, they are scrambled. They were probably scrambled, but it's the same name. So, but I'm thinking some logic out, logic for this too. So there's no way to trace this information from each other. Now, how does this module work? It's very simple by just adding fields that you want to be scrambled. So you can select all the fields that you have added to your Drupal site. You can then just select them and add them. Now for the moment, the only scrambling that is being done is the swapping of data, but for emails and so we need to figure out what kind of field it is, and in that way we can then see what scrambling method we need to apply on it. So the plans we have is to create an API where other modules can hook into and make use of scrambling method functions. Also a hook we are going to create so that, for example, if you take the web form module has a serialized array within the database, and we wanted to be able to also that it can be scrambled, but it does not belong within the main module, so we need a hook or some kind of way that we can create our own, everybody can create an own contributed module. It's also now, for the moment, only used for nodes, but the focus on content, on taxonomy and user is going to be very soon available. Some unit testing, which we are going to add also, and Drupal 8, of course. So this module is going, for the moment, it's only maintained by Logic and Motion, but Allred Group Services has decided to maintain it and sponsor it also. Some resources, very interesting document which basically tells a lot of stuff that I was telling here, document from Acquia. Then the link to the sandbox module and my Twitter account. Now, does anybody have some questions?
Yeah, you mentioned so many nodes and you were looking into taxonomy and users. What about custom entities in general, like using ECK or having your own entities that use fields? Will that also be possible in the future, or are you going to do it yourself too?
The intention is that we, for every module that uses its own table structure, for example, we are going to add a hook where you can add your own functionality. But then you can make use of the API that we will provide to apply miscellaneous scrambling methods.
And within fields, the examples you showed were all text fields, but like entity reference fields or number fields, or I don't know what kind of fields. There's lots of fields out there. You can only support as many of them as you can, or it's only text?
Normally, everything that concerns a field in Drupal is backed up already.
Oh.
Yeah. Because what we in the background, what we do is we have an entity object, and the entity object has its metadata, which is a field, and the contents of that field is just swapped by something else. That's something that is done already. So reference fields is something that is covered. Switch swapping text, swapping emails already covered.
If, for example, your entity reference field is limited by the view, but you can only select certain entities, will it take that into account when swapping, or will it swap to any other entity?
For the moment, it's swapping everything. Yeah.
If a user wants access to his own unscrambled data, or an admin wants access to some other user's unscrambled data, is it possible if you use these methods? And if not, why would I use this? I'm a bit confused about the use cases.
Yeah, the use case is that a lot of companies do not consider the possible impact of having data on some local machine. So if you would apply it or not, it depends on yourself. I know that from out of Allred Group Services perspective, it was recommended to be applied for data to be scrambled. Not sincerely for the usernames, but more like for customer information, addresses, emails.
But does anyone have access to the unscrambled data?
There's always someone who has access to the unscrambled data. But if you have a corporate company which has somebody who's responsible for the database and somebody who's responsible for the development, then you can only give the responsibility to the person that administers the databases and not to the developer. In my opinion, it's not something that a developer needs to be concerned about. Having confidential data on its computer. I know out of consultancy perspective, every company which I've worked for, they just give you the database. And
so this is mostly for development, testing, and statistics that you would use the scrambled data, or When would you use the scrambled data?
I would never let, since a year ago I would have done I would have used an unscrambled database, but from now on I would not use any unscrambled data anymore, except for the production, of course. When it comes to any other environment, I would scramble it immediately.
Why not use fake data on development and staging instead of scrambling the real data?
Yeah. Having fake data, of course, you can use the devil module, generate some content, and then you have some fake data. But if for some reason, and I can think about a lot of reasons, that you would have the need for an almost exact situation, and it's not about the amount of data, but it's about the structure of the data, then to me it's very important that you have it already.
Just the sheer Data Protection Act and everything else that we hear in the community, real world community today with protection of privacy and data means we need to do this now. You can't just, especially in freelance environments, consultancy environments, if you hand over private data, you've contravened your already existing obligations. So this is kind of a default necessity, isn't it? Why are we so far behind pushing the point?
It's not the fact that you as a developer or as a freelancer would have the data available on your local machine, but it's more like who can access your computer. Like anyone can access your computer. And for a consultant, it's a lot of cases it's just one guy, one company with one guy and nothing more. And it concerns me a lot in that cases that there's a possible issue. Some other questions? Okay, thank you.